You know what now means. Of course you do. Right now, as you watch this, things are happening. The chair beneath you is there. The light in the room is on. Your heartbeat is occurring. These things are simultaneous. They share the present moment. They are happening at the same time. That's obvious. That's not even worth questioning. Except it's wrong. Not approximately wrong. Not wrong in some exotic edge case that doesn't affect real life. Wrong in a way that is fundamental to the structure of the universe. Measurable with precision instruments. And unavoidable, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you feel. Let's go slowly, because the mistake is subtle and the conclusion is serious. Start here. Two things happen at the same time. What does that mean exactly? Think about it carefully before you answer. You might say they happen together. They occur simultaneously. Fine. But how do you know? How does anyone know that two events are simultaneous? You check. You look at a clock, or you receive a signal, or you observe both events and compare. There's always some process of observation involved. Always some signal traveling from the event to the observer. Light, sound, something. And here's where the trouble starts. Quietly, without fanfare. Galileo noticed that motion is relative. If you're on a ship, moving steadily across a calm sea, and you drop a ball, the ball falls straight down. From your perspective, someone standing on the shore sees the ball trace a curved arc because the ship is moving while the ball falls. Both descriptions are correct. Neither observer is wrong. There is no single true trajectory of the ball. There is only trajectory relative to a reference frame. That should already feel slightly uncomfortable. But people made peace with it because the speed of the ship is obvious and the math is simple. You just add velocities. If I throw a ball forward at 10 meters per second from a train moving at 30 meters per second, the ball travels at 40 meters per second relative to the ground. Clean, intuitive. Everyone agreed on this for 2 centuries. Then Maxwell sat down and worked out the equations governing electricity and magnetism. He wasn't trying to break physics. He was just doing the math. And when he solved his own equations, a number fell out. A speed. The speed at which electromagnetic waves propagate through space. That speed was approximately 300 million meters per second. And he recognized it immediately. It was the speed of light. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Maxwell's equations did not say that light travels at 300 million meters per second relative to the source, or relative to the observer, or relative to anything. They just said that light travels at that speed. Full stop. No frame of reference attached. Which means, if you're on that train going 30 meters per second and you turn on a flashlight, the equations say light leaves the flashlight at 300 million meters per second. Not 300 million plus 30, just 300 million. That's not an answer. That's a contradiction. If velocities add, and they clearly do, then the speed of light should depend on who's measuring it. But the equations say it doesn't. Something had to give. Physicists assumed Maxwell was missing something. There must be a medium through which light travels, they said, the way sound travels through air. They called it the ether. And if there's a medium, then the speed of light is 300 million meters per second relative to that medium. And you can add or subtract based on how fast you're moving through it. Michelson and Morley built an instrument to measure it. In 1887, they looked for the difference in light speed depending on direction. Since Earth moves through the supposed ether, light should travel faster in some directions than others. They found nothing. No difference. None. Light moved at the same speed in every direction, regardless of how Earth was oriented. That should bother you. It bothered everyone. For almost 20 years, nobody had a satisfying explanation. There were patches and adjustments and clever hypotheses. None of them worked cleanly. Then Einstein asked a different question. Not how do we fix the equations so velocities still add, but what if the speed of light actually is constant for every observer? What if we take that seriously, not as a problem to be solved, but as a fact to be understood? If the speed of light is constant, truly constant, the same value for every observer regardless of their motion, then something else must be changing. Something we assumed was fixed. And here is where the ground shifts completely beneath you. Think about 2 lightning bolts striking simultaneously at opposite ends of a train platform. You're standing at the midpoint of the platform. Light from both strikes reaches you at the same time. You conclude, correctly, that they struck simultaneously. Now put someone on a train moving through the platform at high speed. They are also at the midpoint between the two strikes when they occur, but they are moving toward one strike and away from the other. The light from the front strike meets them sooner. The light from the rear strike meets them later. Now here's the critical question. If the speed of light is the same for both observers, not adjusted for the train's motion, genuinely the same, then the person on the train must conclude that the front strike happened first, not because of a measurement error, not because light took different amounts of time to reach them, but because in their frame of reference, the strikes genuinely did not happen at the same time. Pause here. This is real. This is measured. This is not a philosophical trick. Two events that are simultaneous in one reference frame are not simultaneous in another. There is no universal now. There is no moment that can be pointed to across the universe and said to be happening at the same time as this moment. Simultaneity is not a property of events. It is a relationship between events and observers. This is the part that never stops being strange. You can intellectually accept it. You can work the equations. But your intuition will keep whispering that there must be a fact of the matter, that either the lightning bolts struck at the same time or they didn't. There must be a real objective now. There isn't. The question, what is happening right now on the other side of the galaxy, has no answer. Not because we can't know, but because the question itself is incomplete. Right now, according to whom? In what reference frame? There is no frame-independent answer. The present moment, as a universal concept, does not exist. The universe adjusts itself with exquisite precision to preserve the speed of light. It does this by allowing time itself to stretch and compress. Moving clocks run slow. Moving lengths contract. Two observers in relative motion genuinely disagree about when and where things happen. Not approximately, not in some impractical limiting case. Genuinely, measurably, undeniably. Physicists put atomic clocks on airplanes and flew them around the world. When the clocks returned, they had lost time, a tiny amount, consistent with exactly what the equations predict. Satellites in the GPS network experience time differently than clocks on Earth's surface, due to both their speed and their position in Earth's gravity field. If engineers didn't correct for this, using Einstein's equations, the ones that follow directly from the constancy of the speed of light, your GPS would drift by kilometers per day. That's not philosophy. That's engineering. The right way to understand what is preserved here isn't time, and it isn't space separately. What's preserved is a combination, the interval between events in space-time. Minkowski, working from Einstein's results, showed that space and time are not two separate things, but a single four-dimensional structure. And what remains the same for every observer is the space-time interval, a specific blend of spatial distance and time elapsed. Individual observers carve that structure up differently. Some see more time elapsed and less space traversed. Others see more space and less time. But the underlying geometry is the same. The original question, what is happening right now, simultaneously across the universe, was not a question waiting for a difficult answer. It was a question built on a false assumption, the assumption that now is a universal category. That simultaneity is something events have, the way a ball has mass. It isn't. Simultaneity is a relationship. It depends on the observer's state of motion. Change the motion, and the ordering of events changes, not the observation of the ordering, the ordering itself. And if that isn't disorienting enough, consider this. There exist pairs of events, things that happen at different places and different times, for which the question of which happened first has no answer. For some pairs, observer A says event X happened before event Y. Observer B, moving differently, says Y happened before X. Both are correct. Neither is wrong. And there is no third frame that settles it, because there is no fact to settle. The events have no fixed temporal order. The universe does not require a consistent before and after for everything. It only requires that causally connected events, events where one could have influenced the other, have a consistent order. Because cause must precede effect, and the maximum speed of any influence is the speed of light, events separated by enough space that no light signal could connect them are free to occur in any order, depending on who's watching. Causality is preserved, but the present moment That thin universal slice of time you assumed you shared with everyone and everything in the cosmos is not. What replaced it is stranger and more beautiful. Space-time is a four-dimensional manifold. Events are points in that manifold. Each observer moves through it, and their motion determines how they slice it into past and future. Different slicings are equally valid. There is no master slicing, and this is not the end of the chain. It is the middle of one. The constancy of the speed of light forces the relativity of simultaneity. The relativity of simultaneity forces a rethinking of time and space as unified. That unity, when combined with gravity, becomes the curvature of space-time, general relativity. That curvature predicts black holes, gravitational waves, the expanding universe. Gravitational waves were detected directly in 2015, ripples in space-time geometry, created by two black holes, merging over 1 billion light-years away, arriving at Earth, and stretching the distance between mirrors by a fraction of a proton's width. Measured, confirmed, real. Each discovery forced the next. Light speed forced relativity. Relativity forced curved space-time. Curved space-time predicted phenomena nobody was looking for, phenomena that turned out to be real. Truth is not intuitive. It is not comfortable. It is not shaped for human instincts that evolved to track predators on a savanna, not to navigate space-time. Your sense that now is universal, that there is a moment you share with everything in the cosmos, is a cognitive habit, not a fact about reality. The universe does not owe you that. It never did. What it offers instead is something harder to hold and far more interesting, a structure so precise, so internally consistent, that once you pull on any thread, even one as small as the question of what simultaneous means, the whole fabric reveals itself to be different from anything you assumed, and the pulling never stops. That's how it works. One honest question, followed wherever it goes, no matter how strange the destination. That's all science ever is.